Hello, in this video I am going to show you how to create a data flow diagram and what are the symbols of the data flow diagram. And let's start with first. I have opened up with the Visio. As you can see, this is called a data process. Here it is. Okay, this is a data process, and this is known as external interactor, which is also known as a terminator. I'll come to it. Let me explain it to you. This is an external interactor, which is also known as terminator, and then this is called a data store. This is exactly where the data would move in. This is just going through the fundamentals of the, and that's it. That's the most important part of it. And this is, if you see, this is a data store, this is a data process, and this is showing you the flow towards the data store. What's happening is that it's showing you the data process is taking place, and after the whatever the process, it is actually the data is moving towards the data store. And this is an external entity. Again, the data is flowing towards the external entity. This external entity is also known as terminators. Okay. Now let's move towards the flow. As you can see, let's make a T, and in the making a T there are four flows coming in. There are four inflows and one outflow. So this inflow is the water is going in, tea is going in, sugar is going in, and milk is going in. The process called, this is the process, the tea is being made, and the result is the outflow, that is the tea. So this is how basically you start drawing the DFDs. Now let's move a little bit further, step by step. Here it is, a validate date. Now if you want to validate a date, this is the inflow to the validate date is a process, and once it is being validated, it has two outflows, valid date or invalid date. That is how it can be. Now this is an input inflow. This is what is known as a validate date. Actually, as you shown, you can say a validate social security number, and there should be an arrow this side. Okay, and validate, this is a process, validate social security number. That being done, now let's go and see if there can be a process that can actually show only an output flow. Yes, there is a generate sales report. It has only output flow, that's known as sales report. What's doing is that this is generating the sales report, and the sales report output has been shown here. Now let's go and see the other one. It has the inflow and the outflow at the same time. Determine the order status, order status inquiry, order status response. What's happening is, this is the inquiry coming in. Instead of showing two different this thing, it is shown in the one single this thing, the flow, single flow, and you see that order status inquiry is coming and order status response is out. Now let's move to a little bit a different thing, little bit more further. As you can see, a diverging flow is coming here from, and it's getting diverted. There's a process called produce valid orders. What is happening is that there's an inflow of the valid orders, invalid orders, both are coming through, and it produces only valid orders. And you can see that it's generating shipping documents, update customer, update inventory, generate invoice, calculate tax. All this process gets actually different, is known as divergent flow. It is, the process is moving in a different direction, and it's creating a different process each time. Now let's take a combination of an inflow and outflow. Here you can see that there are a lot of inflows in the blue arrows, and this is the process, and this in the orange arrows you can see the outflow. These are called data stores. Data stores are normally like your tables or the data where it is stored. Right now the product may be the product is the table, the employee is the table, and the sales where the data for the products would move, where the data for the employee would move, and where the data for the sales would move. And let's take the inflow and outflow. Now let's take this is the enter the sales. Sales order details has been come. Order details does arrive here from the outside and from some other process, and order acknowledged. the order is acknowledged, the same acknowledgement is sent to the person or to the process. Maybe that thing is a external entity or whatever it is, and the output flows, and if there is a process, it goes to the process. And because there is enter the sales, once the order is entered, the details have to go into the order table, isn't it? So that is shown as a outflow from the enter the sale process, and it goes to the it is shown as the inflow towards the order. So you can see that this is actually is moving to the inflow, and this is the outflow. As you can see, the order is getting flown out to the inquiry. Once the inquiry system actually wants to have a communication, it actually asks for the flow, and it actually shows that the data is moving towards the order. So this is how it is being shown. This is the outflow from the orders, and once the inquiry is there, it comes to this process, and the order is being taken and actually moved here, and then the response towards then it is the process actually responds, and it is gone out. You can see that process being happening, and again the sales order details comes here again. As you can see, the data store has been removed here directly in this process, and sales order comes, enter the sales order acknowledged. Then again, after getting into this, mostly what would have happened is here it must have gone to the orders, and then it was inquiry. This is the same thing as you can see above, however the data store has been removed. Now basically you can see what's happening is actually the transfer is getting into the single packet. It can be a single packet. Now this order, as you can see in the flow, data flow, what you can see is actually can be a single packet, and it can contain customer name, email address, phone number, gender, social security number, marital status, anything it can contain a packet. The packet may retrieve many packets, like customer living in California or New York. Again, it actually can retrieve the information showing that the data that is actually people living in the California or New York, the whole of it. Portion of the packet for more than one customer, like phone number of the customer living in the New York or California. Again the same thing, the portion of the packet may be retrieved, such as social security number, phone number or email. That is the portion, just a single portion of a single rec can be retrieved. That is what the customer, as you can see, that's what the flow is shown, and flow of data is being interpreted as read if the flow is unlabeled. As you can see that this flow is unlabeled, so it says the flow from the data store is interpreted as read if the flow is unlabeled, means that the entire packet of the information is being retrieved. As you can see, this whole thing is actually getting read into the data, and you can see. So what's happening is that because there are no labels, so you can see that the entire packet of the information is being retrieved for the course from the student data store. Again, if you see student application is going here, it is getting processed. If it is rejected, it goes rejected. The data is being transferred to the student data store. Again, it is being transferred if the course wants it, and the data is being this is being written, this is being read. Again, as you can see, this is an unlabeled flow. Now let's move to the one or more new data packet can be put in the store, or the store at the packet may be this is exactly the same thing what we do actually looked for in the above. The only thing is that this is with the, as you can see, one or more packet may be put in the store. The packet may be appended or stored in between. Whether to append the data or to insert the data is up to the database management systems. What's happening is about the write. What's happening is that this is the data. This data is moving here into the student Whether that record would be actually appended or would be inserted between two records is actually completely depending upon the management upon the database systems, and it is for them to decide how to do it. One or more packet may be being deleted or removed. What is happening is that because this is being shown like as a inflow, it is can also be showed as a deleting of a rec or deleting a student record or some or modifying the student record. As you can see, terminator are extra. One or more packet being modified or changed. I already told about the change may be a portion of the packet, multiple whole packet, or maybe for example, if you may need to change the marital status of the employee, or you may change the you may want to change the quantity in the store because of the new arrivals, and there you can update, or you can also update many records together. Maybe you want to actually change it from CA to California, so you can do it. Now comes the terminator. As I was talking about, this is the external interactor and this is the terminator. Terminator are external entities with the system communication. Terminator is a person, a group of the people, such as organization or the government agency, or the group of the people in the department in the same organization or outside the systems. As you can, this is it can be a government organization, it can be a group of a person in a such as organization, it can be a department. But basically, if you see, these are all the terminator is basically existing out of the system, which means that the system doesn't have any control over the terminator, that is external interactors. They are represented as rectangles, as you can see. And what basically terminators are, they are the, you can find out the terminator by, because the terminator provides the input like A, B, C, D and expect this output from the system X, Y, Z or whatever they want. That's how to identify a terminator. And again, let's go to the little bit. Again, there are there can be many terminators, as you can see, different. The terminators or the external are represented by rectangle account department, which has nothing to do with the system. And again, the web page, again the user, again the financial representative, sales representative. These all can be the terminator. But however, remember, the relationship between the two terminators is never actually shown in the DFDs, that is data flow diagrams. And let's move to the important guidelines to remember. You can use the meaningful name of the process, flow, and store and terminal. What it means is that you should always use a meaningful name, so that you always know by reading the name and on the process and the terminator what exactly it means and what the store does mean. And that goes to the number of the process, numbering the process is very important. I will come to it later. Reader of the DFD as many times as necessary. Yes, it depends, because once you do not get it right, you may have to redraw it many times. So you should be ready for doing that. Avoid over complex diagram. Do not make it too much complex, otherwise you will get confused. The other person will get confused, and it will create a big problems. See to it that DFD is internally consistent and consistent with other associated. What it means is that the DFD should be consistent internally with the other associated diagram also. It should be consistent. What it means is that if you choose a symbol and if you choose a straight arrow, let it be straight arrows in everything. If you choose a circle, normally if you see the data process in some of the diagram would be also can be shown with this rectangle with the side with the rectangle symbol with a rounded rectangle symbol. And you can also show a data store with a little bit differently than it is shown here. So you better be consistent in all the data flow diagram, that all the symbol represents a similar way and the arrows also are in the similar direction. Maybe either they are straight or they are curved. So let's choose and then you choose the active word to describe the process. The process is actually shown with the arrow. You can show with the calculate the tax or calculate salary. You can put it on the process. It has to have an active verb on it. Produce inventory reports, produce sales report, and validate the email and the phone number. So this is all to be shown, and validate the customer number assigned to the employees to the project. All these have to be shown in the process. And now let's go to the other word. This is infinite shrink. What was infinite shrink means? Basically, this is a process which is also called the infinite string because it has only the input flows, there are no output flows. By the it is also called the black holes by the system designers, and it should be avoided because it only shows the inflow, so it doesn't have any outflow, and you should be very careful about it. There may be typical example where this may fit completely, but you should always avoid that situation. And this is the opposite of it. As you can have spontaneous generation bubbles, this is only has showing the outflow, there is no inflow. Again, this should be avoided, but there are some circumstances where this would be a perfect scenario, but it is very rare. Read only or write only data store, the read only data store should be avoided. Again, it is called read only and write only data store should be avoided, such that the data such as only inflows and has only outflow. That is exactly what that means, that the data the read only data or write only data means, if there is read only data, then you will be only having outflows, and if there is only write only data, you will be only having inflow. That should be avoided at all circumstances. And let's move to the next one. If you see the marketing research, this is a process, and this is a corporate client. This is actually this is only showing you the inflow from many different this and the market data. This is a perfect example of a case of write only data, because basically what happening is that the data, this is the external entity, this is a again external entity, this is also external entity, that's known as terminators, and this is again a terminator is saying, and you can see that the outflow being actually written, and this is what it is, the market data, and then being actually to the show to the customer, as you can see it, write only store. And again, let's come to the system. Basically, if you see the context diagram, the context diagram is the first diagram. There is a special kind of diagram that is shown in the DFDs. This is the first diagram. If you see the process in the middle, and then it shows you many of the squares, that is actually again another diagrams that it represents in the system. The top level diagram has only one bubble representing the entire system. The data flows shows the connection between the entire system and the terminators. This process, okay, so this is basically connecting to the terminators, as you can see, and this is the whole system here. And as you go down, the system can actually be shown in much more detail. The special diagram is called the context diagram. And let's go to the system now. Here it is. We are going to show you the thing is that now the process is coming to the one, and this is the 1 2 3 4. Let's say example, there is 1 2 3 4 process. Normally it would not be like that. It would have a name 1 2 3 4 also with the name, with also the name, and it would be like that, and 1 2 3 4, and this is moving from the process starts at 1, and 2 also has the output, and it is going somewhere, and you can see like that, and it moves to the let's see where the 2 is going. The 2 has the inflow, it goes from here and it comes into the X. Actually, if you see the inflow, it's showing actually the 2 is going to the 2, and then it's going to X, and let's actually this should be having an X, I think so. So this being done, and this is coming inflow and 2.1, and again this you can see that it goes to the 2.2 2.3. Normally if the process had a name, it would be a process name, and then it would be the version name with 2.1 2.2 or whatever it is, and it will go to the flow, and normally it will, and then again if you see it is 2.4 is getting out from here, and you can see it's a Y. And again if you see that this is a third diagram also, and this process enters here with on the 3.1, and you can see in the 3.1 and the figure, and that's how you actually go on with the multiple DFD diagrams. Do not try to put more than 6 bubbles in the one of the square or the one of the rectangle, you can see. And now let's see the outflow of the packet shown from the data store towards the process A, and the inflow. Now basically it is shown that this is X is the data store, and the data is actually the outflow of the data from the data store to the process A. What is happening is that this is being read, and this is what is actually being, the process B is writing it. However, if you actually go to the sub-level diagram, if you want to see, you can see that the output is being shown by the process A.1, A.2. It has been shown that both are trying to actually access the A.1 is trying also to read the data, and A.2 is also trying to read the data from the X. Again, B.1 and B.2 actually is trying to write the data to the X data store. This is how actually outflow of the packet at the lower system, the inflow of the packet at the this is the inflow that's happening, that's being written. And let's go down, should store at a lower level. For most of the large system, these are symbols are okay, and we will not go to the more detail because these are the perfect symbol for all those things. And let's move to the one of the data flow diagram, and let's finish off with the system. Okay, here's the data flow diagram we are going to look at. Let's say here we have the customer. The customer is an external entity, and then we have managed sales. Then that is being shown as a purchase order. The purchase order is going to the customer, being shown, and then there's a maintenance finance. It is actually controls the payment. Customer payments come here, and the customer billing is actually finalized and sent again. And you can see this is what is happening. And again, if you see, because the manage the sales, because sales also has to have an employee with the salesman also, so those details has to come for the salesman. Details have to be coming from here. Maintain employee, so you have to add a record, add employee, and all that goes here. Maintain shipment. Now these are the shipment. The shipment goes from the managed sales, the ship the product, and at the same time, if you see that the person also has been billed, and once the payment has received, the payment maintain the shipment. Again, the ship is being shipped. Now if you are thinking what is this ship, or this is a different thing, this is being shipped to the customer. As you can see, it is being shown. But however, there is also a shipper. That shipper is the organization this organization needs to pay. So that's how the that information has to be met, and the details have to be put in the shipment and all that things. And let's move to the product file. But naturally, when you are managing, you are trying to sell something, it has to have the product file, and you can see product details and get product, and you can see that the product being get the product and other things. And then you can see that a manage supplies, again, because there is a supplier who actually supply, and you supply, and it actually goes to supply shipments, and this is managed by the product. Again, if you see this supplier information and invoice that being going again to the maintain the finance, because what is happening is that this supplier actually who is supplying this organization also has a supply information and supply invoice process being done. I think so. That's it. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.